Ultimately, they take us to new worlds to make us look at ourselves. And they do this by returning to a number of key themes that range across time and space. Let's look at them in more detail.
Корабль набирает скорость.
Perhaps the most influential Soviet science fiction director was Pavel Klyushantsev, whose fans included George Lucas and Stanley Kubrick. His space epic Road to the Stars was made a decade before 2001, and it clearly served as an inspiration for Kubrick. Klyushantsev was a master of special effects and highly inventive. He suspended actors on wires like puppets to create zero-gravity effects. And he built revolving sets, a technique Kubrick went on to use in 2001. 2001: A Space Odyssey is also arguably closer in tone to many of its Soviet forerunners than to the American space opera tradition, dealing as it does with complex concepts about the evolution of mankind and its destiny in the stars. But with the Apollo mission set to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade, Kubrick could feel reality catching up with him. He wanted 2001 to look as believable as possible. This was partly achieved through painstaking visual effects. Detailed models were filmed with carefully selected and newly developed lenses to give the impression of scale. They're still remarkably convincing 50 years after the film was made. But Kubrick and writer Arthur C. Clarke were also imagining a near future of commercial space travel. And along with a sense of wonder, they wanted their audience to feel that they really were just one step forward from the present. Kubrick approached numerous corporations like Pan Am and IBM for help to achieve that. Look at these scenes which cleverly combine the mundane with the literally out of this world. Hayward Floyd travels into space on a Pan Am shuttle. In the space station, which acts as a kind of airport, there's a Hilton Hotel and a Howard Johnson's restaurant, brands familiar to Kubrick's Earthbound audience. Elsewhere, a flight attendant walks around a ship with Velcro shoes. It's at once routine and spectacular as she loops the loop to get to the pilot. But above all, it's the simple image of Dr. Floyd asleep while his pen floats away that convinces us that we're looking at an era when space travel is commonplace. Throughout science fiction cinema, directors have worked with scientists to inject their films with authenticity. Fritz Lang consulted Willy Ley, a colleague of Nazi rocket scientist Wernher von Braun, for Woman in the Moon. Scientists from NASA and colleagues of von Braun also worked on Kubrick's 2001. Danny Boyle enlisted Professor Brian Cox as a specialist advisor on his underrated science fiction movie Sunshine, in which a team travel across space to deliver a bomb into the heart of the sun. Spaceships were traditionally filmed by moving models in front of a camera while trying to light them so they didn't look tiny. In 2001, there'd been some use of a technique called motion control. This meant moving the camera, not the model. On Star Wars, the visionary special effects artist John Dykstra and his team developed new computerized motion control cameras, which allowed them to achieve unprecedented levels of speed and fluidity. In the vacuum of space, a spaceship is often the totality of our protagonist's environment, a place where all the drama unfolds. The spaceship is like a theatrical stage, and the way it's designed and filmed is crucial to the genre. With 2001, Stanley Kubrick was creating pure science fiction. His is a movie about big ideas and the science of space. In Alien, Ridley Scott was making a horror movie set in space, a project. Silence can be a powerful tool. In the most recent Star Wars film, The Last Jedi, the most striking moment occurs when director Rian Johnson cuts the sound dead during a moment of explosive impact. But using silence to heighten drama isn't new. Kubrick was doing exactly the same thing nearly 50 years earlier. The fear of the unyielding. Transhumanism, the idea of evolving into something not human or beyond human, perhaps even a disembodied intelligence, features in 2001. But it's recently been revived in films like Lucy and the X-Men series. And it's a trope I'd expect to see much more of in the future. But the desire to become human is a far more familiar theme. Epitomized by Pinocchio, this thread, which occurs time and again throughout the history of science fiction, can be seen most clearly in films like Steven Spielberg's AI, which Stanley Kubrick had intended to be his return to sci-fi after 2001. A sentimental tale which, like Silent Running, tugs at the heartstrings, the movie sympathizes entirely with the android child David, who dreams only of becoming a real boy.